Tim, very good to have you on again, sir. It's been a couple of years since we
Yeah,
last did this.
yeah. It was. I don't remember what the year was, but
I want to say 2018 or 19.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think you were the seventh episode. Now this will be like the
How many?
180 something. So
Oh wow!
yeah,
Congratulations.
th- thank you. I couldn't have done without you, Tim. What last time? It was when the 45 was coming out, I believe, of Paris, Texas, and Steady Rain.
Yeah,
So, and a lot's happened since then.
yeah. A lot has happened since then.
It was before Payador came out. Am I saying that right? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Uh, I understood it as Payador,
Okay,
but
Payador it is then.
um, I couldn't. I'm not gonna like judge anyone on mispronouncing. I'm sure someone would, have their. Everyone's got their own take on it, which is more than okay. It was a cool record. It came out. Um, well, they were happy with the 45. I think it was selling pretty good. Um, and then they were like, "Do you want to do a full length?" So I mean, I was still recording on that 4 track, and I think I had some songs, probably like half an album, and then finished up the rest and um, got the go ahead from Gabe Alcala with the cool art, and John Sabawa helped out, and yeah, it just kind of it did did well. I don't know if it was just the right time, um, kind of stars aligning kind of moment, um, but it just kind of did great. People loved it. I think people loved the art, the cover, and it just kind of hit.
Yeah.
Sold
How
out. Can't get any more.
that's it. So if you have it, you're lucky. And those who don't,
I
that
still,
sucks.
which is really nice. People, at least a couple times a month, someone's like, "Are you going to repress it, or do you have any copies?" or anything like that, which is very flattering.
Yeah. That's a good position to be in.
Unfortunately, a couple people have gotten like, there's some websites where it'll say it'll have it, and then um, people will buy it, but it's kind of like if a cop, it's kind of like Discogs or something like that. It's kind of like more like a wish list, but they'll take your money, which is really screwed up. Um, so I've gotten like a couple like, hey, I purchased LP. It's been like 3 months, and I'm like, I don't have any. Like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to like contact the vendor or whatever. And it's really screwed up, and I feel really bad. But so it goes.
So we're taking this time now. Do not wish list it or anything like that. It's not available. If you do that, don't be doing that until there's a official stance on a re-release.
Yeah, just a little PSA.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just so like, oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And people, they were cool about it. They weren't upset, but I was just like, that's a bummer.
That that is a bummer. I've been burned like that before. And yeah, it's not great.
Same,
Yeah.
same. I mean, I've done that before where I've bought something and then hasn't shown up. And I'm like, you got to the people, which is just like the worst thing. I hate that. I'd rather they just have my money and have to like sit on the phone and talk to someone.
Going back to the what you said about timing, it was good timing. Is that something that needs to be accounted for when certain albums come out? Do you think that that plays a bigger part than we think it does?
Um, Well, it's not anything you can control. I think it's I don't think you can. I think if you try and time it out, you'll be let down. Um, it was just don't know if it's just like a cosmic thing or whatever. Um, but sometimes the gods just look down and give you their favor. I don't know what it is. It's like I don't think from what I've learned, there's no formula for releasing music, and getting people excited about it. Um, and especially now with like Spotify playlists and all these algorithms, it's like you think you have it down, and then you could put out something and then no one will listen to it, or no one even knows. So I don't know what happened, uh, but something good, obviously.
I'd say so. I think that you are correct in your assessment there.
Yeah, and I think, and I've learned like trying to control it too is not a good way to go about anything. Just do your thing and write your music and release it, and because once it goes out there, you're not the one deciding whether it's good or not. It's everyone else. So, um, yeah, I guess I mean, that's the only like conclusion I can draw with the Pie Door, was that it just came on so many people's radar. It sounded like it got passed around a lot, like by word of mouth, and it got on like a couple, decent playlists, a couple songs here and there, but um, and then the laws, all the laws were behind it too, and I think at that time, their crowd reacted to it very well. And yeah, I don't know.
Whatever it was, it worked.
It worked.
It's
Yeah.
still working now. So is there, have you been in talks about re-releasing it, pressing some more of them?
Um, Not in any kind of serious discussions. I don't know. It's like a different situation now that Calico is under part of Innovative Leisure. I'm kind of in a weird position, I think, or unique position, because you know I'm not really signed to Calico, and I'm not really signed to Calico was kind of this experimental thing when the Pydo record came out, so we weren't doing like 3 album contracts or something like that. It was just kind of like we heard, let's just put it out, and then when they got when they moved over to this kind of like collaboration with IL, I didn't sign anything with IL except for that one record for Giant. There was no like, we'll do 3 records, we'll do a repressed. So I mean, it's just kind of like we're going on like one step at a time. Um, so it's yeah, in a weird limbo. I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of nice to not have like such a like to be on the hook for 3 records or something like that. Like I don't know if I'm really that kind of guy, that kind of artist right now. But it's also kind of leaves you like you're just kind of like in an open meadow, kind of looking around like, um, you know,
I don't know
not
what's
really sure.
next, but it's something, hopefully.
Yeah.
That 45 Paris, Texas and Steady Rain that came out before, and that was also on Calico as well, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Did you feel like that set the tone for Payador?
He, yeah, it must have. Because I think I was still writing during that time. Um, all those songs that would end up on the album. Um, so yeah, probably. I don't I didn't know that there was gonna be an album, but I think I was just kind of like excited to be writing songs on guitar, and the four had the cool 4-track cassette thing, and it was kind of just like a fun thing to do. Um, so yeah.
What is your memories of working on that album and writing it and hashing out all these songs for it? Looking back on it.
It was just fun. It was kind of just like a learning process. Like it was fun to just kind of mess around with the tape machine, um, mess around on guitar. I think at that time I was kind of like really into writing on guitar because I was playing keys for so long and practicing piano, and kind of wanted to try something else. So I think it was kind of like I was the most kind of aggressive as far as like wanting to write and record cool songs and stuff like that. Um, and maybe that's what comes out on the record. It kind of seems very like intentional, not
Mhm.
like not like someone who's writing songs to put out a record, but someone who like genuinely enjoyed writing some music and recording it and then putting it out. So I feel like some of that stuff can come through on records, where it sounds someone can come across as like um, kind of an authentic songwriter, just trying like his best to like get this thing across, whatever it is.
Right.
And then sometimes it's like this is just like a studio record, which both can be good, but I think that's another reason maybe why the record did so well, because I think it kind of captured that a little bit of just kind of like a raw authenticity or something like that. I don't know.
What is a record to you that has that feel to it when you listen to it?
Um, well, anything that kind of, I mean, I was really into at the time there was like the FJ McMahon record, Spirit of the Golden Juice. I think that's his name, FJ. J. Um, and then the Robert Lester Folsom record that was put out, and a lot of that stuff was done on like 2-track tape, or whatever things they were working with back then. Um, but they were like very sound like demos, but they were like released like I don't know how many decades later, and you could feel like when you listen to it, you can feel like uh they were like very much in it. Like it doesn't sound like a produced record, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you're just kind of getting like the raw, like original kind of feeling, as opposed to like listening to someone who's been in the studio for 40 hours or whatever, and it's done take after take. There's like um little mistakes and just the quality of the tape and stuff like that. um and I think, and there's something to do, I don't know how to put it, but there's like something about like a first take, whether it's on tape or something, um but I feel like that's when you're most like,
Sure.
that's when the song like hits the most, when you can play it once through, singing it without like too many mistakes. And then if you like capture like a good uh if you could just like capture the whole song all the way through, I feel like that's like the you know best feeling
Mm.
a song
Right.
could have.
Right. Do you do you feel like if you're doing all these takes for a song, multiple takes for a song, does it become like more and more diluted as you keep on
I can't
going?
I can't do it. it's like two takes or nothing. Like I like there's no song that I have that I'm that um like in love with, where it's like if I can't get it right in a couple takes, it's just like screw it. So there's lots of songs that are unrecorded, unfinished. I had a really hard time with it when I had the Giant record, because I did that in a studio. Um, and I there was lots of things that got left on the cutting floor, and like uh I just like the headspace was just so different. It's just like so you're in someone else's like studio, I was like counting like dollars, like per second, just like whatever this is costing, this is not working. And
Oh, it's a
yeah, it
good
was
head. There's a good headspace to be in at that time. Yeah.
right. Yeah, like a gun to your head. Um
Man.
and I think it showed on that record. It didn't quite have the same high adoredness.
Yes, I've heard that term being thrown around a bit more often now. The
Oh,
payadorness.
yeah, it's up there with all the lingo nowadays.
Yeah, I just was just reading something on Pitchfork and they used it. I said, hey, look at that. You know, it's nice. It's good to see.
They used it to describe the new Neil Young record.
Yeah, yeah. I think Neil also used it as well.
I have my lawyers on the speed dial, so
Right, because you have multiple lawyers right now because you're that big time.
big time.
Right. How long had you been sitting on the songs for Payador before they were kind of hashed out and recorded for the album?
How long was I sitting on them?
Yeah, how
Like,
long were they sitting around for before finally being put down on the tape?
well, I think most of it was already recorded. I was like still in the process of recording when they decided or when they asked if I wanted to do a record. There wasn't much like, you know, time in between recording and then, um, sending it off to get mixed and stuff like that.
Quick turnaround. Talking about 2 weeks for the album.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like, whenever you're done, and I would send them the what I had, and they'd be like, "That's cool," or little things here and there, and I think I just sent an email one day, and I was like, "I think it's done," and I sent it to all of them, and they're like, "Great," and I think after that we just sent it off to. I don't even know if we got it. I don't think it was mixed um, very well. I mean, I think I tried to do it, but then we sent it to our buddy in Amsterdam, who was like he did the sound, I think, for a few tours on one of the All Allah's tours with this really nice guy from Amsterdam. Um, and even he was like, I don't really know how to master, but we were just like, just do it. I'm sure it'll be fine, you know. But
It was the prediction was true.
yeah, like I said,
Sounded pretty
God's
darn good.
yeah.
Um, after Payador came out, what was the time frame between working on that album and its release and working on Giant?
Um, I think it was maybe about a year. I mean, I had started like writing I'm always writing, have ideas and stuff like that. Um, but I think I went into the studio kind of late 2020. So I think the record came out in late 2019. And then I think in like October of 2020, I started on the record. Um, so not that much time. Uh, And then I did like a few days. Most of it was already written and done. Like it just needed to go record it. Um, and I think I did like 4 days at Jazz Cats in Long Beach. Um, and then I think I did another like 2 days, like a few months later, at my house on my piano. So it was like 6 days total over a few months.
So going into to Jazz Cats, did it automatically feel like, all right, there's just there's something different about this whole process that we're working with right now?
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, because I mean, IL was involved, so it was like kind of the plans for like this big rollout. You're gonna have 5 singles and videos, and uh, people are gonna write about it or review it and stuff like that. There was like a team and not a team, but a person or two in Europe that were like working for their companies. I don't know. Um,
And the guy in
to
Amsterdam that's waiting to master it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I actually got mastered by Cooley, Dave Cooley, who kind of does seems like he does everyone's records. Um, so yeah, it was very just a whole different experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I felt very much like a kind of like a fish out of water.
When record reviews come out from these different publications and whatnot, and people are writing up about it, do you pay attention to that kind of stuff, or is it something that's like, all right, it's out there and let it be?
Let it be. Once it's out there, uh, I mean, I've kind of always had the feeling of like music and just as a whole, it's like I think the time you have with your music, writing it from the time that like the idea comes into your head to the time you finish the song and you get like a recording of it that you like, I feel like that's your time with the music. But if you want to be an artist or something like that, once you throw it up there to the masses, it's not in your control. It's not yours anymore. You don't decide whether it's good or not. The people decide.
Right.
You can
Is it
keep your music to yourself and think like, oh, I really like this music. But if you want to share it, um, yeah, it's like the timing thing. You can't control it. You you know, just let it go.
right? Is it difficult for you to finally let it go, to finally push it out into the for the public to listen to and consume?
No, um, because there's only so much like dedication I can have to like a song. Like I said, it's like that time that you have with it. That's your time with it. It's and then once you finish that song and then you record it, there's nothing else you can do with it creatively. It's done. It's buried in the ground. So, you're onto like something else. Like, what's the next thing I can write? Um, yeah, I don't hold on to it.
You let it be what it is and move on.
Yeah.
Do you after something's put out like Giant, for instance, do you feel like, all right, I have a blank slate and I can move on to something else, or are you dreading that, like, I have nothing to pull from now, where I'm not working on something that's already been hashed out and I'm working on something new? Is it kind of daunting, or do you look forward to it?
Um, well, I think no, because I'm always writing, always doing like I love making music. Um, I'm like constantly making music in my room. It's not always like something to share or like it's not always like folk type music, or it could be lots of things. It could be like classical sounding. It could just be like trying to learn classical music. Um, so no, I don't have any problems like writing music. Um, the question is more like, what do I want to write something to put out? Do I want to keep writing folk music? Do I want to move on to something else? Um, which is kind of what happened after the Giant release, because I mean it was finished recording in like early 2021. Like we did those couple days, I think in like February or something. Um, and Calico and IL were still trying to get some kind of deal made. I'm not really sure what it was, but and then like the queue for getting vinyl made was so long because everyone was putting out records.
It was
So I mean, by
backed
the
up at
time
that
it
point.
yeah, so by the time it came out, it was like October of 23. So I mean, it's almost 3 years um, later, and for someone who doesn't hold on to anything for that long, I was just like, it was like hard to like revisit it. Like yeah, it's like almost like it was like left out of my mind. I had to like come back to it and be like, oh, I have this record that I recorded 3 years ago. Yeah, which is very common in the music world.
Right.
Lots of people are way beyond the records that are coming out, you know. But um, for me, it was like hard to kind of get excited. Not get excited. I was excited, but you know what I mean. It was just kind of
It was hard to harken back to that mindset and where you were at mentally writing those songs and recording those songs. It seems like, I mean, with that amount of time, you're gonna change and focus on other things before that comes out, it seems like.
yeah. And then like the whole like landscape of the world was so weird too, because it's like, why am I even recording a record? No one can tour. No one can like, like music was so up in the air as far as like trying to do it for a living. Everything was just shut down. It was kind of like just kind of a weird time, like a weird timing for a record to come out. Uh, just personally for me.
Right, right. Uh, did you end up playing some shows for that, supporting that album later on when shows came back, or was it just something that it just was an album of that time frame and you move forward?
I mean, I played a few solo shows. I played at like Gold Diggers a couple times on like a Tuesday night.
That's
uh,
and that's for the folks at home. That's prime gold diggers night. Like that's when you want to be there. Absolutely.
uh, well, I mean, one of the nights was actually pretty good. I mean, it's not a huge place, so um, 20 people feels like 100. But I remember one night I played and Mapache was playing the same night in like Echo Park or something like that. And I think there was like 3 people in the audience. Uh, so that's the way it goes.
So those three people got to hear it.
It was great. I mean, I don't crowds and stuff like that are once you start singing, it really doesn't matter if there's 3 or 300.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of like locked into your headspace, and um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't like walk away being like, oh, there's only 3 people here. I'm thinking like, oh, I played terrible, or like I messed up this song, and like, yeah, it has nothing. It really doesn't matter who is or isn't in the crowd.
Right. What is that mind frame when you're up there on stage, when you are singing?
I don't know. Just kind of like shut your eyes and just do it. Well, there's the times that I've toured. like opening up for the Laws or something like that, where I'm like playing every night. After like 3 shows, you're kind of just like, all right, let's do it. And you feel good and you're comfortable up there. But when you're playing like once every, 2 or 3 months, the like dread, like the day of dread sets in, and you're just kind of like have that feeling in your stomach all day. And then you finally get up there and you're just like so aware of what you're doing, you know, that you just psych yourself out, and I mean, I'm sure, hopefully it sounds better than what you think it does, but you're just like,
Yeah,
but when you're on tour, you kind of go into that uh like on autopilot, and it's kind of a great feeling. Um, but yeah, doing it like once every couple months, just like, it's not a good thing.
when do you snap out of that autopilot sense of being?
Uh, Probably like after you play. You mean as far as like performing in general?
Right. Yeah. Is it like as soon as you get up and start leaving the stage, or does it kind of take a second to, even after you're done, to like revert back to like, okay, I'm back.
I'm back. Yeah, probably shortly after this stage. But I would have to go back up and play with the Alawas. Like 15 minutes later, I could like go outside and like have a smoke or something and like have a beer. And then it was just right back up there, which is like a nice thing to do. I don't know that I'd want to just sit around all night and, you I don't know what I would do.
Uh, is it, how different is it in that scenario of being up there by yourself and then coming back and playing in an ensemble like all a lots? Does it feel just majorly different, the mindset of being up there solo and then being up there with four other guys?
Yeah. Um, well, yeah. I mean, when you're, like I said, when you're on like kind of the autopilot, you feel good. You're just kind of up there. You're slinging songs, and then you get up and walk off. And then with the Laws, it's like I could just do that I could like fall asleep up there, and just like the things you think about when you're playing. It's like you forget you're even like on stage. Um,
What tends to go through your mind? Are you paying attention to the crowd? Are you paying attention to the music? Or are you just kind of just zoning out in general, or thinking about random things?
Thinking about random things, you think about like home, or I don't know, like a TV show you're watching or something. Um, and not all the time. That was kind of more in the later years. Because I've played with them for a while, but yeah, your mind goes all kinds of places. Um, but and it kind of depends on the show too. It depends on what you ate that night. Depends on like, if you had too many beers or whatever, not enough beers.
Do you usually try to eat before you go on stage, or is it just something that sometimes it happens before, sometimes it happens after?
If I'm singing, if I'm doing like my music, I don't like to eat that much. But if it's a live show, I'll get nice and nice and fat, and then just kind of like just get up there and just kind of chill out. A couple beers, play a few songs, and then walk off the stage.
Yeah, do you enjoy having a couple of drinks before hitting the stage, even just performing solo?
Performing solo, no, I don't like to do that.
Stone
Uh,
sober.
I wouldn't say stone sober. Sober, yeah.
Stone
Um,
adjacent sober.
yeah. Uh, I mean, I like a beer on stage, but no, I don't have like a few beers and then go sing. Um, that's too like, I don't know, destructive, I think.
Rock and roll.
Yeah. But but yeah, when it comes to like trying to sing your own songs, um, I like to stay sharp, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
I have done that before where I like did have like too much. And then I went up there and I knew it sounded terrible. And I just felt so dumb and like and miserable. And I was like, I don't want to do that again.
Once was enough.
Once was enough. It usually only takes one time for me when it comes to learning lessons.
Um, I recall this might have been the first time that I saw you. It was at the Lodge Room in wherever that is, Highland Park or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, whatever part of LA that's in, and it was you opening, you and then Mapache came on, Sam and Clay, and then you guys did a song together. Then Mapache came on, and then it was all Laws.
Mm.
And I just like that you were a part of all three sets of that.
Yeah. That was fun. I liked, yeah, I like to be like involved in the music. Well, because I'm not a very like I don't go to shows, you know, go out. I don't like a lot of groups of people or something like that. So if I'm gonna be out, like I'd rather just be up on stage so I don't have to like interact with people or it's like yeah, it's like I don't want to just sit around for the rest of the night and playing music all night. It's pretty fun. That's much
If
more.
right, if you are, it's just you're just playing in one band, whether it be all laws or just by yourself. Do you prefer to open it? Do you prefer to get it out of the way and done, or do you like to kind of be there in like surrounding the other music before going up and performing yourself?
I feel like I'd rather just play first and get it over with.
It's a good
Yeah.
answer. I like it.
I mean, if it's my stuff, yeah, I'd rather just open and just kind of, yeah, get up there and get it over with, get off. And then I can kind of enjoy the rest of the night. Because
Right.
if I have to keep waiting to play, then I'm gonna be like in that kind of just like anxious, like I'm not gonna be able to relax,
Until the job is done.
yeah.
Right. Uh Now do you still on occasion play with All Laws live?
The last time I played with them was, I think, maybe June. We did a European run, um, but not since then. Kind of in a weird position of like, because I was working at the ranch full time, and
Yeah.
you know, like when COVID hit, like I didn't have anything to do. Like I had to go like do some. I had to find something else to do. So I like got the job at the ranch, and then by the time tour starting to show back up, it was kind of like I couldn't. I didn't really want to just leave the ranch to go on a couple tours. Um, so yeah, you just kind of have to like just kind of moved on, I guess.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, you do work on a ranch.
Well, I actually left the ranch in January.
Oh, okay. This is a recent departure from the ranch.
Departure. Yeah. Was there for like 2.5 years.
Mhm.
It was cool. It's in like deep Orange County.
Did that have an effect on the music that you were making? Do things like that, working, for instance, or just being away from music, does that kind of offer more ideas or gets the creative mind flowing for ideas?
Totally. I think it's funny that it worked in like a different way though, because I kind of like it inspired me to write more folk music, like or yeah, anything on guitar. But I think the space, the open space and like the calm of everything, um, because it's pretty deep in there. I mean, the canyons, it's a good like 10 miles off the freeway, you know. Uh, so I mean, you're just out on this ranch all day and you're just surrounded by hills. I mean, there's no buildings, hardly any traffic going by. Uh, it's just like dead quiet. So I think like that space was very nice, but it didn't inspire me to write songs about like horses or anything like that, or anything like cowboyish. It actually had like the opposite effect that I thought it would. Like it was a really great experience, but I didn't come out of it feeling more like a cowboy or like a ranch guy.
Right. Was that your first experience being a ranch guy while working at that ranch? Or how did you fall into that position?
Well, so I needed to do something like yeah, because there was no music, there was no nothing. Um I I like being outside. I like uh I've always kind of had kind of laborish jobs. Like I've been like a janitor and stuff like that. But I thought it'd be cool to be outside and I love horses and or just animals in general and um cowboy-esque stuff. I wouldn't say, I was looking to become a cowboy, but certainly love the idea of working on a ranch or like something like that.
Hmm.
So I went on Craigslist and it was just kind of a random thing. This place just had an opening and um, they were pretty desperate. They lost people during COVID and so 2 days later I was there just working.
Working. Throughout that time frame, was that kind of the inception of Shades of Green? Did that kind of start to rear its head during entering
Yeah,
the rancher position?
totally. Because that one's very like I mean it's kind of there's elements of folky stuff in there, but it is a very like spatial record. Like there's lots of just kind of room in it. It's very like drawn out kind of group of songs. Um, so yeah, I think being out in those elements definitely creep their way into your mind.
Uh, when you were working on that album, did you know that you wanted to take a different direction sonically with that album, or did it just sort of just different ideas started to flow that ended up being that album?
Um, I think it was kind of just the culmination of like things like everything that you've worked on, like instruments that you've been practicing for years and years, and different stuff you're listening to, stuff that you've written in the past and the present. And um, yeah, it was kind of like, well, yeah, like I said, it didn't like like working on the ranch didn't really inspire any kind of like folk songs, but so there wasn't much to do on guitar. I kind of like started going back to piano and stuff like that and really practicing and kind of just enjoyed writing more on the keys. Um, and the keys can give you so much freedom to come up with stuff. Just, but even just like space stuff, like, um, with like synthesizers and things like that. And you can just, there's just more like, more room for everything.
There's more give to it.
Yeah, because I mean, on an acoustic guitar, that's it. It's acoustic guitar. You can't. There's not much you can, or there's not much I can do with it. I'm not a very good guitar player, um, and I don't know. There's like lots of things I can think of, but I don't know how to do on acoustic. Whereas on like the keys, if there's like an idea in my head, even if it's super complicated, I can figure it out pretty quick. Or if there's like a sound that I know that I want, I know how to find it. So it's like kind of working with like the right tool again.
Yeah, when you have an idea that could be translated for the guitar or for the piano, if you take it and work with it on the guitar, will the guitar itself influence the idea that you originally had just because you're working it out on the guitar?
Probably.
And
It'll
the
just take.
reverse is same as well.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think uh yeah, because I don't know how to really do anything else on guitar besides like kind of folky kind of stuff. Um so if I took like kind of like a jazz progression on piano and I tried to do it on an acoustic guitar, it's going to sound like kind of like a jazzy Towns or something, it's it's not going to sound like jazz guitar. It's or it's going to sound, like or it's like a weird like Dylan. Like, what is Dylan doing? He's
I
trying to
mean,
play.
people have already asked that question before, and
Sure. Yeah, like later, like '80s Dylan or something. I don't know. Yeah, I can't. I'm not proficient enough in guitar to. Um, yeah, it's like one mode on guitar, and that's about it.
mhm. uh, regarding Dylan, what's your stance on him?
I love Dylan. One of the greatest. I don't know if it wasn't for Dylan, I don't know where I'd be. I mean,
Uh,
me and my friends used to sit uh in the backyard. I mean, just listen to Dylan records all night. We couldn't get enough. I mean, we were sometime after high school. Uh, so I don't know. We were, early 20s or something like that. You're kind of getting into, you're finding out that there's like more to the world. There's, you're discovering artists. This is before, Spotify wasn't around then. So we couldn't, um, there was no like algorithm for folk music or whatever. Uh, so, but I mean, yeah, I mean, there was years where that's like we didn't listen to anyone else. That was it. It was just like Highway 61, Blonde on Blonde, um, like basement tapes. That's like what all you listen to for like 2 years or something.
is there an album that sticks out to you specifically that really just drew you in?
Um, Dylan album. Um, I don't know. Uh, I did always like John Wesley Harding. Um, they're so like temperamental sometimes. Like sometimes Highway 61 is the greatest thing, and sometimes you don't want it. Same with Blonde on Blonde. Um, I think, yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked John Wesley Harding was kind of like a nice in between. Same with like Nashville Skyline or Blood on the Tracks. I don't know. It's hard to like. I don't know if there's really one, but I know that there's one for whatever mood I'm in.
Right. It's always changing.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good
Um,
answer. I like that answer.
yeah. I also like just like a lot of the bootleg stuff. You get like cool take different sounding takes and stuff like that. And also him with just a guitar and harmonica is great too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the greats.
He is.
Very very reliable. Um, just a very reliable artist to listen to.
You recommend him. It's a recommendation.
Highly recommend if no one's heard of him.
He's kind of an underground artist, and for the folks at home that don't know, yeah, kind of very niche guy. He didn't really sell too much, but yeah,
hopefully one day he'll get his due.
I mean we're doing our part, so yeah.
That's all you can do. I did see him one time uh, in Fresno um, with Willie Nelson
Okay,
and was it John Cougar
Mellencamp.
Millenkamp? Yeah, he opened and then Willie played, which was amazing. I'd never seen Willie before.
Yeah, tremendous. I've said it before on this podcast, kind of recently, but I'll say it again. Wayne Nelson, best performance I've ever seen, live performance I've ever seen.
It was so much fun. It was like in like a minor league baseball stadium too. So it just had this very like you're kind of like I don't know where I am right now, but it felt very like old worldy.
In
Um,
in Fresno,
I think it was in Fresno or somewhere around there. Um, or maybe Bakersfield, one of those
somewhere
towns.
somewhere in the area.
Yeah, there's one of those kind of like middle valley towns. You know, I don't can't remember which one, but yeah, he was like he would put a bandana on, play a few songs, and he'd take the bandana off, throw it out, put another one on, play some songs, throw it out. I mean, he was just like such a people pleaser.
Yeah,
And then Dylan got up and it was like super weird. Uh, I mean, I knew that he doesn't sound like that anymore. I knew that. But then he went into like Ballad of a Thin Man and it like just the whole rhythm was like completely different. And it's like you're not like you can prepare yourself, but you don't really know.
yeah. You're not gonna be in that
And
truly
then you see,
prepared. Yeah.
but it was still amazing just to look at him.
Is there a concert or show you had the opportunity to go see that you in hindsight regret?
Yeah, there was Levon Helm played at the Bowl, I think, and I didn't go. So many people I knew went and they had tickets, and I was like, I don't know if there was a reason. Maybe I was working or I just was too lazy. But Levon Helm, that would have been super cool. Um, and then I think he probably passed away like a year later, 2 years later, something like that.
Do you find yourself gravitating more towards the piano to hash things out, or towards the guitar to hash things out, or is it kind of a equal mix of both?
It's kind of one or the other. Like I haven't touched a guitar in probably 6 months. I don't know.
So there's like phases, maybe, in a sense.
I just there's I yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't even ask anymore. It's just like it's just I just don't feel like playing guitar. It's basically what it comes down to. It's not like a conscious thing of like do this or not do this.
It's
It's
just
just more
that's how it happens. It's not a guitar
I
day.
just don't have any interest in playing or writing on guitar right now. Maybe it'll come back, I'm sure, you know. Um,
Do you get that way with the piano as well?
Well, that's what happened with, when I started recording those songs for what would be the Pyrodor album. I was like, I just don't even want to play piano anymore. And I just like was just so obsessed with guitar and just would sit and lie in my bed and just pick and you know, so I just kind of wherever the brain goes.
What would be a third instrument? If there was one, what do you think that third slot would consist of?
Probably drums. I love to play drums. The only thing is just having a drum set up and it's so loud and it's just like it's a whole thing. That's probably the instrument I love to play the most. At least in a live setting. I love playing drums live.
I have seen you drum once before, and it was really good
With paint.
with paint
Yeah.
at
That
the
was super
Wayfarer.
yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah. Did you
Uh
drum in boots, by the way?
Probably. I think I had some of these like Red Wing boots.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um yeah.
All right. It feels for me. If I feel uncomfortable playing in boots, but that's just me. I got to get better at drumming though. So
Everyone's got their own thing. Matt would always put on like Nikes or something. Matt from Nalalas, he would always put on like his Nikes.
is he not usually wearing or I guess he's not wearing tennis shoes.
I mean, sometimes he wears boots, but I feel like, but he felt like tennis shoes were the thing for him. Yeah, you just got to find whatever. I used to like to play barefoot. I like to play with like socks on.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can never get behind that. Do you know John Andrews of the John Andrews and the Yawns? And
I've seen the name. I don't know. Yeah,
yeah,
I've seen.
he had this. He told me this on this podcast as well that he'll if he's wearing boots, he'll take off the boots and just play in socks. And I can't wrap my head around it. That's
Because
just
you
me
know,
though.
dirty or what? What's the reason?
I just it just wouldn't feel right and
Like nails on a chalkboard.
not that bad, but it's just like I feel like I couldn't perform the way that I would want to. I feel like it would be too like slick and stuff. If I was gonna do no shoes, it would just have to be bare feet, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes I know what you mean. Yeah, sometimes it can be too slippery, but then sometimes playing barefoot could be too sticky,
I could also see that.
too
Absolutely.
grippy.
Mhm.
When I used to play like hardcore shows back in the day, uh, I would love playing with socks because if I played bare feet, it would like the rooms would be so hot and sweaty, and it would be like too much grip. If you're
Right.
playing socks, then you can get those like double strokes on the kick, like those
Uh,
double kicks. And then shoes, like if I'm playing like drums and like a folk band or something, you're just kind of playing halftime beats. Yeah, playing whatever.
right. Now did you get your start with playing with other people within the hardcore music scene?
Yeah, that was like my first band I was ever in, aside from like the jazz band in junior high or whatever, high school.
Right. Now what was the band's name?
Civilian.
Civilian. Nice, nice. Uh were you gravitated towards that music at that point, the pre-Dylan?
E- yeah, I mean, um, yeah. Uh, well, I mean, my dad was a music teacher, so I mean, like we had heard all that stuff, lots of classical growing up, lots of jazz, um, some folk music. We get like Elvis and the Beatles and Dylan a little more like leaning towards the classical and jazz. But I mean, as a angsty teenager, and it was like skating and hardcore music. That was just what our group of friends did, you know. I don't know how much like I was in love with like the scene of it all, but as far as like drumming, learning how to drum, and then you're just like playing as hard and fast as you can. It was just like so exhilarating, you know, as like a young kid. Um, yeah, it was great. I miss it now that I think about it.
Will you play another hardcore show again?
Probably not. I mean, I couldn't write any hardcore songs, I don't think. Uh, but if a
They,
hardcore band came up to me and was like, "We need a drummer," I would probably do it.
you would entertain the idea.
I would try it out first. I doubt I can play like I used to be able to play. Um, but yeah, I mean, that was like such a fun, you know, that was pre cell phones, pre anything, just like kind of raw, unchecked aggression, like music, but like in such a fun way, you know,
Right.
like just pure emotion, pure feeling,
Energy.
pure energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh with all of these genres that you've uh liked and been into for phases and all this, was classical or is classical one that has really been embedded in your baseline for music?
Mm, maybe it's certainly something you can always come back to. Um, I think at this point of like writing music, it the goal kind of seems to be to write as like beautifully as I can. Like what kind of beautiful music can I make? Not so much like songwriting or you know. So classical is obviously the best teacher for that, you know, as far as melodies and there's so many different styles of piano playing and string arrangements and operas and you know it's just a crazy like huge world of music. Um, so yeah,
And you're absorbing it all.
always. Oh yeah, I listen to a lot of classical music, but also I think it's easier to listen to it. I can imagine for some it could be kind of like a either very uninteresting or kind of like a weird thing to get into at like at a certain age. But I think growing up in it with it like always being around and my dad's always playing and um, you know it's a very like familiar almost kind of homely music, you know,
Right.
whereas kind of like if you know if like if you grew up in like a bluegrass family, you know, everyone's got an instrument, you're sitting around a circle singing songs, kind of like that,
Hmm.
but with like Mozart.
Same. Same idea, different genre. How does your father feel about the music that you've been making, especially with the Shades of Green that kind of entered that kind of that area at least a little bit with some of the songs on the EP?
I think he likes it. um he's he's a man of very few words. uh he well he wouldn't really say if he liked it or not. He would ask like, you know, does it feel like how does it feel to write something like that, you know. He would ask, I think he asked something like that, along something along those lines.
What was your response?
What was my response?
Yeah, what was your response to that question?
um I think I just said something, well, something like, yeah, it feels good to write something like that. I don't know. It's what, but it is one of the things. One of the like few kind of like groups of songs that I like still like. You know, I mean, I still like the Pyador record and stuff like that, but like if I go back and listen to the Shades of Green, it's like there's some stuff on there that I think is like, man, that's pretty cool. Like some, because a lot of like the piano stuff was improvised. You know, there's a lot of improvisation on there, and so like going like stuff. If you went back and like tried to re-record it again, it probably wouldn't sound. It wouldn't sound the same. You know.
Because that was capturing that moment, whatever that moment was. That's that in that can be recreated.
Yeah, but even like a like there's there's like kind of jazzy solo in there, and it's like even if I think I tried to go back and do that jazzy solo again, I don't know if I would have nailed it like I did what's on the record. So um, yeah, it feels good to look back and like admire, um, or at least take pride in what you did.
Right. Do you think that you will eventually come to look at Shades of Green as you do Payador and Giant? Do you think that that is inevitable? That it's kind of, again, not that you dislike it, it's just it's not something that you're looking back on that much anymore.
Maybe I think the only thing is I think with like the Shades of Green type of stuff is I think it can always like be transforming. Because I'll like play them in my room, kind of like thinking of like, okay, well, how would I do this live? And the fact that there is so much improvisation and space and stuff like that, I think it would lend itself to be different every time. Whereas if I go play Gold Diggers or something like that solo on an acoustic guitar, playing Pyador songs, there's like one mode and that's it. Whereas I can take these other or keys driven songs and I can like keep changing them and allowing different things to come in, and whether it's different sounds or I could play something on a synthesizer that wasn't played on a synth before. I just feel like the songs can keep growing as like the time goes on as I'm playing them, whereas like the other kind of folky stuff, that's just what it is.
It doesn't lend itself to being manipulated like that.
No, and I think if it could get like, I don't know if I'd even want to. I feel like it's cool the way it is. It's like I don't need to like try and fit the Pyador songs into like whatever it is I'm doing now. You know, um, yeah, just kind of like leave it as it is.
Right.
And maybe there'll be some day where I'll just go out and do like an acoustic set. Who knows?
Uh, have you experimented with bringing the Shades of Green songs to a live performance?
A few times we did. I did. I mean, I would play the song Shades of Green because it has a little more of an acoustic feel to it. Uh, on some of those solo shows back in last year or whatever. Um, but I kind of put a little group together with a couple guys, and we played a couple shows together, just kind of to like see how it all go down, kind of feel it out playing it live. Um, and it was cool. I think it's hard to like get people together though. Uh, so a lot of time I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I do this solo? Which I feel like I'm getting there.
Was that in the back of your mind as you're recording the album? Like, how is this going to translate lot into a live performance? Because there's a lot of different things going on in some of the parts of the songs. Did that ever enter your mind? Or you're like, I'll just cross that bridge when I get there.
I think for that one, I was just like, I just wanted to like, I just kept going with whatever ideas were coming in. If I thought it needed like some strings or, um, a synthesizer here or a piano there, or just like whatever I thought would make this, make it sound cool. Um, because I really wasn't like, I'm not planning on having like a big touring musical career. So it's not really to think of to limit yourself in that way doesn't really make sense.
Right.
But I do that sometimes. I think, and I do like to keep things simple. Like I try not to do like I wouldn't put so much on there that it would feel weird if I played it live.
Mhm.
Like I still feel like I can play it and it would be like fine. But that's also like the minimalistic kind of person in me. I don't want to get too crazy.
Right. Had you played some of the other songs, uh the more guitar driven songs with a band before or rarely?
No, I tried. I didn't try very hard, but I tried. Uh, I, like being like a band leader is just something I just like don't want to deal with it. Like I had got people that were like said, "Yeah, man, that'd be really cool. You got like a drummer and a bass player and stuff like that." And then you got the group text, and you're like, "All right, who can practice Friday?" And maybe someone responds. People are like, "Oh, I can't do Friday, but I can do Sunday." I was like, "All right, who can practice Sunday?" It's like, "Oh, I can't do Sunday." And after like a week of that, I was just like, "Screw it. I don't. It's not worth it to me. I can't. I'm not like a. I'm not a good people wrangler. Like I can't. Like I'm love being alone. I love my alone time. I don't want to. I can't just like sit in a group chat all day and like you know who's doing this, who's doing
Play
that.
phone tag with other people trying to get something together.
Yeah, I won't even answer the phone if people call me. It's like I just like don't like it.
Uh has there ever been an idea that has came from just jamming and on the rare occasion that that would happen, or maybe that it does happens more than I'm presuming, but does ideas ever stem from that, stem from playing just jamming around with somebody else, playing music with somebody else?
Hmm. Like for my music or just in
Yeah,
general?
yeah, no, for your music, has it ever spawned an idea for you?
Not that I can think of. I feel like most of my writing's been just alone in my room. Um, yeah, not that I can think of. No.
Very well. Uh, where was the Shades of Green? Where was that recorded? Was it back in a studio or
No, just in my room. Um, I found that I really like the early morning time. I feel like that's the most. That was it was a kind of didn't know it at the time, but I realized it later on, and I think that's why I had a lot of trouble in the studio doing the Giant record because at like I would go in at 12 and work till 8, and I like to wake up at like 5 and work till 11. I like to like so I can like wake up. I just feel like more creative, more energetic. Like I have my coffee, go out, have a cigarette, eat little bit of breakfast, come and just kind of like play. It's like still dark outside. Just like put on the headphones and just kind of, I don't know. It just seems to be the most energetic, creative time for me. But I notice like when I get to the studio and it'd be like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I mean, that's like nap time, you know?
That's the wind down now. It's time to rest
Yeah,
the eyes.
I can't do anything like, well, not that I can't do anything, but I find it very hard to be like productive in the afternoon. I don't know what that is, or, but yeah, so everything was just done here in my room, just super early in the morning, just very relaxed, very calm, you know. And I think it kind of shows through, like all the sounds on the EP are all very, it's all very soft and just kind of pretty. And I think that's kind of like, that's where I like to be at, just kind of soft and pretty.
Uh, does the time maybe it's not an issue, but I'm just gonna use this word for the sentence. Is the time issue a problem that you have to deal with when playing late at night, playing these shows that are, with All Laws, for instance, that's like usually the headlining act and you're going on at 9 or 10. Does that throw a wrench in your stuff? Or are you able to kind of work around that?
Um, I think it does. I think I'm slowly realizing that. Um, because I think about if I wanted to do music now, or if I had the opportunity, I think I would try it. But yeah, it doesn't seem fun to just be up late all every night and like socializing and drinking, and not that you have to drink, but yeah, I mean the that world lends itself to like these things, these time periods, and these situations that you find yourself in that doesn't really seem that attractive anymore. I mean, it was great before. It was super fun to tour with the Laws and got to do a lot of really cool stuff. And but um, yeah, there's something about just like being like awake all day, knowing you have to do something at like 9 o'clock at night. That just drives me crazy. I don't know what it is. Like that's why I really, that's why I loved about the ranch, because it's like I'd wake up at 5, I'm out the door at 5:30, I'm at the ranch at 6:30, and then I'm just like working and I'm going and my mind's like healthy and I'm outside and all this stuff. And then I come home tired, get a burrito, watch some TV, and then just go to sleep. Like it just, this is perfect for me. But to think to like wake up, uh, maybe get some breakfast in a town you don't know, sit in the van for 8 hours, listening to the same thing you've listened to, uh, stop and get some fast food. And then your like workday starts at like 5 or 6 in the evening, it's, I think, because I was having a hard time, I think, towards the later tours, where I was like feeling very kind of just exhausted and like almost kind of depressed. Just like, what am I doing? Like, it's just like such a weird world to be like stuck in a van, or like you're like flying everywhere. Like, I really got, uh, I don't know if I like developed a fear of flying, but I was just like, I don't want to be on a plane right now. Like I don't want to go to, like, I don't want to sit on this plane for 15 hours. Like, it just sounds crazy. Just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe you just grow out of it. But yeah, the idea of like driving, and also like cities, like I'm not like a huge city guy anymore. Not that I ever was, but like touring back in the day, like going to New York was exciting, or Philadelphia or whatever it is. Now the idea of like going to, like, I don't even go to downtown LA. It's like Whittier. It's like, so yeah, I don't know what'll happen.
Time will tell.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, I've that just the work schedule of a musician. I don't know that it's
Ideal.
ideal for me. I mean, some people are great at it, and I'm, you know, get jealous of them a little bit, but I also just think it's not really like my personality. I'm not like super social, hardly social at all, actually. I don't really like to drink. I don't like to, I don't like crowds.
I think you're in the perfect position to be a musician.
Maybe, but it's nice now you can just kind of like release music.
Yeah.
It feels good, you know.
Do you still have an urge though, or a yearning to showcase these songs in front of people and actually and show them what it sounds like live and what your ideas are for some interpretations of some parts of it?
There's kind of like a fantasy version of that, where I think it would be cool to do music. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. Like I'll probably have to get, if I don't do music, um, it'll probably be like working at the ranch, or something equivalent, not making much money, or, I don't have like a degree or anything in my pocket. So, um, it may, I mean, there's kind of like a balance of like, do I not like it, or am I just nervous about it? Is it something that I'll grow to like? Like if I go out there and really hustle and play my songs, is it something I'll grow into? And then I can figure out my schedule on the road or something like that. Because also all the other times I've toured, I was kind of, you're on someone else's, schedule. It's like the laws have it's their show, you know. So I don't know, maybe if I was in charge of everything of what was going on with my space around me, that might be different too. Could be different.
Matinee shows only, 2 p.m. Maybe
That
not
would
2
be,
p.m. Maybe that might be a bad time, you know.
maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. There's there's certainly that like hunger to do it, but yeah, there's a lot of like conflicting things inside, that are uh, like you can either psych yourself out of it, um, or sometimes you just have to listen to your gut too. If it's something you don't think you want to do, you got to listen to that too.
It's true. This is true.
So
Um, I also want to touch on this, the new album that's coming out, Moon Landing.
Woodland. Yeah,
And this is an instrumental album.
all instrumental. Had zero desire to sing.
Let the music sing, huh?
Well, uh, I mean, there was actually no real like songwriting involved. It's more of just instrumental music. There's not room for vocals. I don't think.
Did you set out knowing that you wanted to make an instrumental album, or did it just kind of happen?
Just kind of happened. I like pulled out the 4 track one day. I like got this new synthesizer. I wanted to like mess around. Um, the 4 track was like behaving really good. Sometimes there's always like a cackle or like a buzz, or Um, but it just sounded so good. Um, so I kind of seized the moment. I had like a couple ideas for songs, so I recorded them, and then I just kept going. I was like, well, I'm gonna fill the tape up. As long as I'm just gonna keep it on and just keep recording. So a lot of it's kind of just like made up on the spot. Um, it's kind of it's pretty spacey. But it was like all done in like one day. Um, because I think I had gone back like 2 days later, and there's like this buzz on it, and I was like, you know, it's like it's like these machines are like so fickle, and it just like it just didn't sound good with the other songs that sounded so like nicely recorded. But it was like good 35 minutes worth of music.
And you were just acting on instinct for that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh wow. So I mean, you didn't even know until it just started to happen and that it was gonna be you're gonna record something, let alone it be no lyrics.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah,
Not
I don't.
not to put words in your mouth, but sorry.
uh no, I mean, yeah, there was no plan, there was no nothing, but I thought it just sounded cool. I don't know if anyone else will, but um this is cool. I like this. I'm just gonna put it out.
And it's a digital release as of right
Just,
now.
yeah, just a self digital release. I took the tape machine down to Jazz Cats, and we did like a nice good transfer, and then he mixed and mastered it.
Did you feel more comfortable walking in there now? Just with the
Yeah,
with the
I
tape?
didn't have to record anything. Just bring the cassette in. Um, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I really like it. I think it's different for me. It was just kind of like a cool thing.
Yeah.
I think I was just really excited that the tape machine was working nice.
That'll create some nice moment.
Yeah, it's like I think that might be more than anything was like I was able to capture all of this in like one day. It's not so much about like, I hope the songs get lots of streams. It's just more of just like I felt like it was a really cool day. Just a good solid day. Just like recording on this synthesizer and this 4-track thing that sounds nice. So why not just immortalize it?
Was this in your prime time to record some stuff? Was it early in the morning or
Well, I think I went for a hike in the dark. uh, and then I was probably something I listened to or something, but it made me want to go home and work on music, because sometimes you can get in like modes where you don't work on music for a few days and you get kind of like lethargic or whatever. And, especially not having quit the ranch, it's like I'm kind of just chilling now, which is nice. Um, but if I don't stay like productive, then I can get kind of like a little down.
right?
But
Right.
yeah, it just kind of worked.
Had you entertained the idea of putting out an instrumental album even before this opportunity came?
I'm sure I did. Um, but I think I was just recording music um, for the sake of recording music. Um, I mean, like I said before, I love to write music. I like to come up with stuff. Um, I think this kind of music lends itself is to like um, to be like less intentional, and kind of like there can be spaces where maybe there couldn't be spaces on like a more rudimentary song or something like that, you know. So even like recording it, like if I felt like I was like, oh shoot, I don't know where to go, and then where to next. It's like there's some kind of like loop, or like the sustain of like the synthesizer is like allowing for you to like move, in a different direction, um, which is really fun to.
Is Moon Landing the title? Is it just one song? Just is it? Are you just titling it one song, or is it broken up?
No, so it's like 7 tracks. I kind of made it
Okay,
into like a sci-fi movie soundtrack or something like that.
all right.
So there's like a progression of like, and you can kind of like come up with the scenes in your head, you know. It's um like one of the song titles is called like walking in craters. So you can kind of like come up with your own like visual of astronauts walking in craters or something. You know what I mean? It's like you can
Right.
turn it into the kind of listening experience.
Hmm.
Uh,
Is one of the songs titled Moon Landing? Is that one of the names of the songs?
no, uh, Moon Landing is the fictional movie, I guess.
Oh, okay. Is this the first time that you've used a title for an album that isn't in relation to a song on that respective album, like Giant, for instance,
Oh yeah, yeah.
or Paid, or how? When does the title of the album kind of come into play for you? Is it after everything's said and done with the mixing and mastering and recording and this whole process, or does it kind of show itself within the the movements of making an album?
I feel like it kind of coincides as I'm recording, or as I'm like listening back to what I just did, or um, I mean, there was a couple different like iterations of what it could be. Like it had initially like kind of turned into more of like a shades of green kind of feel, where it's a little more earthy. Like songs were called like Creek or something. You know what I mean? It's like uh or like trees, leaves are falling, whatever it is, it's like, and that's kind of the hard thing with when you don't have lyrics, you're kind of just making up something for what this instrumental is called. Um, and, and there's obviously hundreds of instrumental plant-based records, and I'm sure there's hundreds of obviously space-based instrumental stuff. I tried to like come up with my own words. uh I just like made up words for the 7 tracks, but then I thought it would be kind of I don't know, like it sounded really cool like one morning, and then I think that evening I was like, that's a terrible idea, don't do that. uh
So
like
it lived that way for about a day.
yeah, like I was really hot on it for like a few hours, like, oh, this is going to be so cool, and then you like step away from it, and then you come back, and like that's the dumbest thing you could do. um but I do like space. I do have a telescope. I like to look through the telescope a lot at night. um and it kind of was like, well, this is music I would like to listen to while I'm looking through the telescope, so it kind of like, and then I like have some cool pictures that I take through the telescope of like the moon and stuff like that. um so I used one of those. Yeah, and then just kind of found the right setting for the music.
Good deal. Is this going to be another digital release only, or maybe a physical further down the line?
I don't know. That's up to. I mean, I suppose I could do it myself, like a vinyl release. Uh, Maybe we'll see. I mean, I don't know if it's like a. I don't know if you can have both sides. If you can wait to see if it does well and then print vinyl. I don't know. Is that cheating or something? I don't know.
I don't think so. I
Uh,
think that's smart. It's yeah. I think it's a good idea.
uh, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll do the well, the only thing with like the shades of green stuff, it's like so IL owns it now. And I don't think they would be opposed to doing if I wanted to do my own vinyl, but there would just be like a little more like logistical stuff. Um, so yeah, maybe put out that vinyl or the moon landing something, or just keep putting out stuff digitally. I have lots of stuff to do.
Moon landing 8 track. I'm just saying, maybe
Landing
just
8 track would be cool.
be cool.
I thought about maybe doing cassettes, but
I love a good cassette.
it's like such a like, who's gonna buy it?
Me, I will buy one for sure, Tim.
Well,
You,
if I do it, I'll let you know.
you got my word on that. Yeah, you let me know. When you're just uh in passing, or just talking to somebody, and the topic gets brought up that you play music, and somebody asks you, oh, what kind of music do you play? With exploring all these different kind of genres and sounds and whatnot, what is your answer to that question?
I don't know. I actually can't remember the last time I was asked that question. What I think I just kind of like say everything. It's like, oh, I have like a folk record and I got some kind of ambient stuff and um, I don't know. That's pretty much what my answer would be. Is like, I don't know. I got some folk stuff, some ambient stuff,
A little bit
a
of everything.
little bit of everything.
All right. Um,
I'm not a very good. I'm too like all over the place. Want to be this, want to be that.
I prefer to look at it as they can't pin you down. I think that's
It can be done.
yeah.
No, but I feel like it's a little harder to create I don't know if a following is the right word, but there's like people that's like all they have is folk releases or you know, there's like jazz players is all they did was play jazz, which is great, but I don't know if I can do it. Might be my downfall. Like as soon as like, you know, as soon as I'm at the top of my folk game, I'm like, I'm out of here. I gotta go do something else.
Well, I mean, after you conquer something, you got to move on to the next thing. I mean, that's
Yeah.
life. Yeah. Tim, I really do appreciate you coming back on, sir. And I've been waiting to have you back on. It's been too long since you've been back here. But before I let you go, I do have some promo to do. So, Moon Landing, the album that we're just discussing, is out March 15th. So it'll be out by the time that this comes out. And where can people find it? Spotify, Apple,
Yeah, all of them.
all of them. YouTube, all that good stuff. And that's it. That's gonna be a self release, right? So do you have a band camp that people will be able to
Yeah,
go?
so I'll put a link in like the bio on Instagram. yeah, if you go to the Bandcamp, you can buy it directly from me. Um,
Awesome. That link will be below of whatever you're listening to this on. All the other music can be found through tikirocket.com and innovativeleisure.com, the other releases that we were speaking about before.
mhm.
And people can keep up to date with some shows when those are happening by following you on Instagram. Is that the best place, Tim?
Yeah, Tim Duncan Hill. That's it.
On Instagram. Do we have anything else to promote, Tim?
I don't think so.
All right, Tim. Thank you again for coming back on. I'm gonna stop recording this. I'll talk to you in a minute, okay?
Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.